Greetings, beloved family, and thank you all again for being here with us today on Occult Science Radio. I am Curtis Davis, aka the Illuminated One, and today we have back with us the true Illuminated One. The last time our beloved family was here, believe me, his words are still resonating from his first interview. And believe me, you're going to be seeing a lot more of our newest family member. For those of you who are unfamiliar with who I'm referring to, I am talking about Santos Bonacci. Yeah, and if you have seen his videos on his YouTube page, and also his videos are featured on TON, the Occult Network. As we speak, if you go to the Occult Network right now and you look in our shorts section, you will see his latest video. And believe me, it is extremely powerful, as all of his videos are. That's why so much of his content is featured on the Occult Network, in the featured presentation section as well as the short section. So this is going to be a very, very powerful interview. And today's topic is occult science and astrotheology. Yep, I have to repeat that again. Occult science and astrotheology. I can't wait to hear what this great master teacher has for us today. So I'm going to start off by thanking our sponsor, TON, the Occult Network. That's www.theoccultnetwork.com. We offer two memberships, a free membership and an exclusive premium membership, TON Premium, where you will find some of the most in-depth esoteric / occult / metaphysical content that you will find anywhere on the internet, and you're definitely not going to find it in mainstream media. You can also find the Occult Network on YouTube, Twitter, and on Facebook. And if you want to keep up with what's going on Occult Science Radio, as well as the Occult Network, you can also find me on Facebook, Curtis Illuminated One Davis. So come by, become a friend of mine. As I always say, I love meeting new family members. And once you become a friend of mine on Facebook, then you will be plugged into what's going on with Occult Science Radio as well as the Occult Network. And we want to thank everyone who has been shopping in our stores, and showing support. Thank you for that. And don't forget to sign up for our upcoming TON 2012 Heal the Whole You cruise retreat to Jamaica, which is scheduled for December 3rd through the 8th, 2012. Take advantage of the early bird special, which lasts up until December 9th, 2011, which is a mere $25. After December 9th, the down payment will go up to $100. We will be sailing on Liberty of the Seas, the second largest cruise ship in the world, and we will be going to Labadee, Haiti, and Almat, Jamaica, and the lineup of speakers for our cruise will be Dr. Mitchell Gibson, the Mooney Twins, Rasanku Kepper, the head priest of the Temple of Anu, and Dr. Wayne Chandler. A very, very powerful lineup. So if you want more information on that, go to the Occult Network, click on the events link at the top, and there you will find all the information that you need to become a part of this great, great cruise. So please call in with your questions, beloved family, 646-649-1987. That's 646-649-1987. And believe me, the phone lines have started filling up already, And if you want to listen by phone, don't forget to press 1 on your pad so we can get you set up on the switchboard. And with that, I'm going to step aside and welcome back our dear friend, our dear family member, Brother Santos Bonacci. Brother Santos, how are you, my friend?
Oh, great, Curtis. Thank you very much. You're all heart, and that's a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. It's much deserved, much deserved. And anyone like myself who has been following your work Believe me, many people would say it's an understatement. but
Yeah.
but I can hardly wait especially after watching your latest video, which is featured on the Occult Network as we speak. I can't wait until you upload part 2.
Oh, it's up. It's up already.
Oh, it's up already? Great. Then we will add that, to the network as well. But today's topic, my friend, and it fits right in with the show, today's topic is occult science and astrotheology.
Yep.
Wow, I can't wait till you hear what you have to say on this. Take it away, my friend.
Thank you. And how have you been? Well?
Oh, I've been great, my friend. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, we missed a few opportunities to do this show again, didn't we?
Oh, yes. But I was persistent. I was determined to bring you back.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, thanks, Curtis. Look, what I'm talking about today is just general stuff, really, about the occult science and Hermeticism. So if you're happy for me to deal with that, that'll be great.
Absolutely. It's all yours, my friend.
Ah, great. All right, well, I'd like to start where we should always start, with Hermes. Hermes is the originator of the theology. Hermes is the founder of it. And Hermes has been around for a long, long time in Egypt. A long time. In fact, in my recent videos, I've called them Prisca Theologia, which is what the Renaissance guys like Marsilio Ficino was calling the Hermetic wisdom. He was calling it Prisca Theologia, which means ancient theology. And in this series of 3 videos, of which I have the first already up, I'm going to be referring a lot to Hermes, and because the Prisca Theologia comes from Hermes, the ancient theology, and I explain who Hermes is, and I explain the antiquity of Hermes. Now, in order to explain the antiquity of Hermes, one might like to watch a video called The Pyramid Code, right? Carmen Butler has made a beautiful documentary about Egypt and the history of Egypt and how long it's been around. And in there, she interviews a man called Abdelhakim Awian.
Oh, yes, that video was featured in Ton Premium. Thank you for the plug.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Wow, that's great. Okay, and Abdelhakim is, he's now passed on, but he was able to share a lot of wisdom in that video. Now, another gentleman who interviewed Abdel was Stephen Mele, or Stephen Mele. It's Mehlea. Now, he's written a book which I've also featured on my 3 new videos. And one of them is The Land of Osiris, and the other one is From Light into Darkness. So that's Stephen Mele. Now, and the evolution of religion in ancient Egypt. Now, what he's showing there, that religion began about 5 years ago in the age of darkness. Because religion comes from binding. Relegare in Latin means to rebind or to bind. So you bind people in one mass and you give them a label and off they go like little lambs and they repeat, I am a Jehovah's Witness, I am a Jehovah's Witness, etc. That's what religion is. That's how you make fools out of people. But Hermes, Stephen explains, has a much... The philosophical wisdom of Egypt is much, much older. And it's about 65,000 years to at least 20,000 years older. And that comes from the indigenous wisdom keepers, and in particular, Abdel. Now, I'd like to happily share with you some good news, Curtis. I'm going to be going to Egypt next October to speak with Abdel's son and daughter-in-law. That would be Youssef and Patricia. And we're going to do a tour of Egypt. The three of us will be speaking.
Wow.
And so of course, Youssef has inherited the indigenous wisdom school, and you can see his work on the internet on the Kemet School of Ancient Mysticism. So the Kemet or Kemetian School of Ancient Wisdom, ancient mysticism. And what they call their science is chematology. Yeah. As opposed to Egyptology, where you have all these buffoons that try to tell you that Egypt's only 3,500 years old, or 4,500 years ago, Cheops built his Grand Pyramid, and so on and so forth. So they would tell you that the first dynasties were around 4,500 years ago. And this is absolute nonsense. The indigenous wisdom keepers of Egypt, the chematologists, they laugh at this. They have a good old laugh, and they watch idiots like Zahi Hawass, the buffoon who continues to have his face on every other documentary dealing with Egypt, and trying to tell people that, well, he's obviously a consensus Egyptologist that tells you the same things as everybody else. Egypt has only been there for 4,500 years, etc., etc. So it's convenient for Rome to have these lies divulged about the antiquity of Egypt, because in Egypt is the secret history of humanity. You see, back in good old Egypt, the wise people who were able to produce a stone monument called the Great Pyramid, and the Khephren Pyramid, and the Saqqara and the Jose Pyramid, etc. There's many pyramids down there that will absolutely blow your mind for the engineering. And those very same engineers and wise people who put those stones there, they also gave us some science. And that science would be our science. And it's our science of ascension, or our science of how the hell we get back out of here. Because, you see, what the Egyptians knew, and what we are now remembering, is that reality is pure spirit. It's spiritual. And all of these material illusions that we see down here are just lower vibrations of that spirit. They're just motion. All of the elements are just moving around. Gold is iron. Iron is arsenic. Hydrogen is helium. They are just different rates of motion. Same elements. Same, well, it's motion. There's no elements. There's no substance in the elements, you see. So the Egyptians knew this, but they knew that when our little atoms decided that they would coagulate and form bodies, that it would be very, very hard once this habit was formed to release oneself from these bodies. So they gave us the science as to how to do this. And this is the science that Rome has persecuted more than any other thing. Oh yes, Rome has persecuted Hermetists. Yes, she's burned down the Hermetic Library of Alexandria. Oh yes, and she's killed many, many Hermetic prophets like Giordano Bruno and scientists who have tried to tell forth this true wisdom. Because you see, Rome teaches us a kind of Christianity, a religious Christianity, which actually, rather than being spiritual, is actually material. They are materialists. Rome is the kingdom of material, where you can indulge your material fantasies to your heart's delight. In fact, many, many people are just doing just that. They are indulging. Man, there's people out there, they're climbing corporate ladders, if such a creature exists. You know, there are people out there who are so famous as sportsmen they can get $50 million a year. Oh, of course, at the expense of 2 billion people who are starving to death. But that doesn't matter. We do have our lovely Fox lifestyle shows in which we can watch all our favourite sportsmen. We can have a look at David Beckham, how wonderfully he's doing there with his football and how many millions he's getting and all the sponsors he's getting. That's happening. What else is happening? Oh, yes, there's lots of people who are keeping up to the Joneses. They never quite pass the Joneses, but they're keeping up. And, you know, they've got 4 or 5 investment properties, and they've got some money in the bank, which is dwindling, of course, right now. So they're very, very scared of this. But look, you know, there's a whole heap of entanglements that Rome has put before mankind, and you see the difference between those people and people who happen to have their higher consciousness activated and realize that everything is spiritual and all of those things are just an illusion. To a degree, they are an illusion. They are real, but we call them an illusion. We label them an illusion because we know that it's a chasing after the wind. You see, and the Egyptians left us this beautiful science, which was based on simple things like the 4 elements. They called them fire, earth, air, and water, which we call, as physicists and scientists, we would call solid, liquid, gas, and radiant. Everything in the universe does this. Or solidity, cohesion, motion, and radiance, which is how the universe organizes itself. So the Egyptians taught us this science, and they taught us about the various emanations. The Jews, for instance, have Atzila, Beriah, Yetzirah, and Asaya, the 4 emanations. These correspond to the 4 elements of Plato: fire, air, water, and earth. So you see, they left us this. They told us about astrology. They said, look, there are 12 spaces out there, and those 12 spaces, they represent the mind. And Hermes called this mind Poimanda. See, mind has a monotone or a monochord sound, which is always 12. The universe has always been known to be 12. The dodecahedron. It's always been equated with ether, the dodecahedron. And in that space is all the circle of conditions. And in that space is all the potentials that can be produced in the material world. So the material world has given us the number 7. The spiritual world is 12, and the material physical world is 7. And for evidence of this, all you need to do is look at all the 7s that appear in nature. You have 7 chakras. You have 7 vital organs. You have 7 orifices. You have 7, the Hindus call the heart the Septapana cavern, meaning the cavern with 7 chambers. You see, the ancients also knew about this wonderful number 7. 7 days of the week, 7 liberal arts, 7 visible planets in the solar system, of which produce the 7 days of the week. And I think I did mention this in the last show, about Saturn being Saturday, the 7th Sabbath day of the week, Sunday being the 1st day for the sun, Monday being the 3rd day for the moon, Tuesday Mars, Wednesday Mercury, Thursday Zeus. And that's an interesting one. We'll get back to Zeus because he's also called Jupiter, jovial, happy. He's the god of the gods. He's the boss of the sky. And then, of course, Friday is Venus. So these 7, these seven are producing the forms that we see in nature. Everywhere you go, these seven get together, and they are the active powers of the material world. So here we are, our spiritual souls, which have come from a higher place, have found themselves in the flesh on this planet called Earth, 3 rocks away from the core of the solar system called the Sun. And we're floating around in space, flying through space, following the Sun wherever it goes. And how we get away from here, if we should need to, which we should, because we are designed to live in higher places. Well, we were made beyond the kingdom of the seven, higher than their jurisdiction. You see, whilst our fleshly bodies are on this planet, we are under their jurisdiction. We are under the laws of Saturn. We are under the wisdom and astuteness of Zeus. We are under the warlike influences of Mars. The moon influences us too. She's Diana. Venus gives us lust and leisure and many other sensual pleasures. Mercury gives us intellect, the messenger of the god. That's Hermes. And we're going to get back to Hermes too, because that particular planet in the solar system is the intellect principle in the solar system. You see, all those sevens, they all have dominion over our bodies. The 7 organs, the vital organs, are each ruled by those planets. The heart is ruled by the sun, for instance. So we begin to see the direct connection with these 7, the material workers, the gougers of matter. They have knives in their hand, these little gouger creator gods in Egypt called the Cosmocrators, the potters of Memphis, of Ptah. Or the Jews call them the Elohim, and the Greeks call them the Olympians. The Romans call them the gods. And of course the Egyptians, well, they are the demiurge in the Christian Gnostic system. The demiurge is the second creator. So because the first creator is the prime creator, the cause, the ether, the source, the oneness, the stillness. And that oneness, in order to produce, is with his patterns. It produces, that oneness produces patterns, and these patterns impress themselves on matter by the creative fiat, which is called the Holy Spirit. In the Bible, it's called the Holy Spirit. And also, the Creator is also called the Word, the Logos. Okay? Now, this is the occult science, Curtis. I'm sharing the very deep aspects of this science. I hope I'm not just rambling on here and going over the top of people's heads, you listeners, because it is profound. It is very deep. So
yes, it is.
I'd just like to acknowledge that. Now, the Logos is the Word, and the Word, if you're looking for the Word in the universe, in the physical universe, all you do is look up and you'll see a whole bunch of stars at night. That is the Word, and our Word is our sun. And if you're wondering what the Word is, it's the sound that it makes. You see, all of these electric orbs, which there are no two alike in the whole universe, all of these are father fountains of light, and they produce not only light, they produce sound. They have to, because light is sound, and sound is light, on different octaves. And so these suns, they produce a sound which resembles the 7 vowels, and they are A, E, I, O, and U. And that is the Alpha and the Omega. And the the actual intonation of those vowels come from the 7 planets. The moon is A. She resonates with the A sound. The sun, of course, has to be I, the yes, because in Hebrew, I-E-S, and Greek, I-E-S, always it begins with I. That's the sun. And O, that'll be good old man Kronos, Zeus, Jupiter, Thor. You see, so he's the Omega. He is the last one. The moon is the first one. What it means, the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, means that as our souls ascend, they burst through the 7 heavens, starting with the moon and ending with Saturn's rings. Once the soul ascends beyond the rings of Saturn, Saturn releases the soul and it goes to the orb of Uranus, the father of Saturn, and Uranus means heavens in Greek. Uranos, from which comes Uranus, is heaven. And wow. It corresponds, yeah. And see, all of this, it's all science. It's all science, Curtis. It's all beautiful science. There's no religion in this. But obviously, because of how we understand religion, we use the word religion to explain this science. Because, for want of a better word, we are trying to help a broader range of people to understand what the science is all about. But if you go straight out say that this is just science, well, people then write it off because they don't understand how science can be responsible for our salvation. They think science is just a mechanical thing which belongs to a bunch of intellectual people that want to design phones and televisions. You know, but it's not. Science is our true path back to spirit. Because science teaches us the key, teaches us the essential knowledge and wisdom that we need in order to be able to transmute and know who we are and transcend our animal nature. You see, the reason why our atoms are happy to coalesce and coagulate and run around in these bodies is because we have animal desires, you see, and we are still human animals. And unless we become human beings with this science of transmutation, we not only will we not be able to reason like human beings and avoid animalistic behavior like war and jealousy and killing and hate and anger, but once we become a human being, well, we enter the hero state. And the hero state, according to Hesiod, Hesiod was talking about the 5 ages. He spoke about the Golden Age. This is in the Works and Days, the book of Hesiod, written about 2,900, 3,000 years ago, if not earlier. Of course, this is what consensus science tries to teach us, that Hesiod was around 3,000 years ago. Well, there's evidence here to suggest that it's a whole lot older, okay? But he spoke about the Golden Age, and then he spoke about the Silver Age, then the Bronze Age, and then he inserted, between the Bronze and the Iron Age, he inserted a Hero Age. Just excuse me one tick, I need to blow my nose. Excuse me. This Hero Age, this is where we are poised to go through. We are at the threshold, you see, Curtis. We are in the Middle Kingdom. Humanity humanity is dwelling in the very privileged and blessed state, and it's called the Middle Kingdom. Below us there are three solid kingdoms. There's the animal, the vegetable, and the mineral kingdom. And we still have that in our bodies. We still have solid minerals. In fact, we are a crystal. We are a carbon crystal. And crystal contains the word Christ in it. You see, so when the Christ consciousness descends into matter, first it tastes of the mineral consciousness. And it's a crystal. That's where Christ dwells, in the crystal. You see, and then the crystal becomes the plant, the vegetable, the vegetal. And then the vegetable organic carbon in the vegetable consciousness becomes animal as it grows and transcends in consciousness. And then finally we reach the middle kingdom. So, and above us there are astral beings, you see. And yes, and we live in an octave which is in the middle octave. Above us there are 8 octaves back to source. And below us, obviously, there must be 8 octaves all the way down to the mineral. So we've come from that. Our consciousness has come from that. That's our spiritual evolution, not our physical evolution. You see, evolution happens not in a linear way. It happens in a spiritual, conscious way, you see. So finally we've reached this middle kingdom, and we have a choice to make. We have a choice as to whether we are going to ascend in the spiritual octaves, or we wish to remain here with all these pleasures and entanglements. Woohoo! There's girls out there. There's wine to drink, and there's merriment. Bacchus is pouring down rains on our grapes so that we can press the grapes, and have wine and lust, etc. Now, not that there's anything sinful in this. There's nothing sinful in it at all. Our bodies do delight in eating and drinking and enjoying the beautiful things of the beautiful world that we live in. But along with these beautiful things, we know that the time of enjoying them is short. We know that our bodies decay in the sine wave, and eventually they grow old, and it's rather sad to see this beautiful form, this physical, muscular, skeletal, and there are many other systems, of course, that we carry around. We carry around a lymphatic system, a nervous system, we have flesh and tissue and muscle. There's a lot to us. We are a wonderful, wonderful creature. And we see this thing decay, and eventually after 80 or 90 years of life, if you're lucky, that body dies. And it goes back into the ground, and all the motion of the elements returns back to the earth, our mother. You see, so it's rather sad to see this thing. So the scientists of old, they left us a lot of wisdom and knowledge so that we would be in the know, if you like. We would understand this process of incarnating, dying, etc. And we wouldn't be left, like the ignorant animals who mourn when someone dies. Not that it's bad to mourn. I mean, of course we mourn, but to mourn in a way as though that person is lost. No, they're lost to us temporarily, yes, so we mourn for that, but they're never lost, and there's no soul that can be lost. Sure, the scriptures talk about the soul and perdition and losing soul. Well, what that means is simply this, that we lose the soul in the sense that rather than building up the soul so that when we die in the physical flesh, we have something. We have something that we can recognize in the spirit form. Rather than doing that, people are avoiding the transmutation of their soul, and they are being entangled with fleshly pursuits and worldly desires, and they are neglecting their souls and their spirits. Therefore, they don't have fat souls in the spiritual sense. And when they die, they find that they don't resonate. Their souls do not vibrate at the right vibration to be able to leave. So they're stuck. You know, they're stuck, and we belong to this. We're stuck because we're still here. But the moment we learn that who we are, that we are divine units of conscious divinity, then we begin on our path back up Jacob's ladder, and we climb, as the Jewish Kabbalists speak of, the 125 rungs of the ladder. We climb back up the four emanations: fire, air, water and earth, and we return to ether. We return to the cause, the Kether, the Jews call that, the top of the Kabbalistic tree. And how we do this is through knowledge. We grow our knowledge. And in the Kabbalistic system, there is a Sephiroth. There is a Sephiroth that is called the pseudo Sephiroth, and it is the pseudo Sephiroth because it's the 11th. It's not part of the 10 on the Kabbalistic tree. Now, this Kabbalistic tree is inside of your body. It's your spiritual you. It's the witnesser. It's the one bearing witness. It's the Christ made flesh. In other words, it's spirit in matter. It's a tree. It has 10 little circles, 10 Sephiroth wheels. The Hindus say there are 7. But the Jews put 2 in place of 1 along that tree, which is the lymphatic system and the 7 glands, the ductless glands, you see. The pineal gland is the top one, the crown chakra. He is the Sabbath gland, the 7th, and he corresponds to Saturn. And of course, this is why the Jews wear the yarmulke, because they're trying to tell you, just like the Hindus who put the little red dot on their forehead, they're trying to tell you that they've found the place in heaven where you need to focus your attention. Heaven is in the head. It's in the cranium, and it's called the pineal gland. And the blood of the lamb would be the DMT that comes from the pineal gland. You see, the lamb is in the pineal gland. And it's in Aries, you see. Aries is the crown chakra. And Aries corresponds to the top of the head. Taurus is the bottom of the head in the zodiac. And Pisces, of course, being the feet. Now, I did explain this in the other show, so I will not I'll not go into the macrocosmic zodiacal Adam Kadmon man today. Just suffice to say that the lamb, Aries, where the pineal and crown chakra system is, and the DMT that comes from that would be the blood of the lamb. You see, we are all saved in the blood of the lamb. We are all saved, in other words, if we go up into the pineal gland and we pierce it and activate it, and then we become a Christ-like tree, a Kabbalistic tree. You see, this is why we, in 1 month's time, we shall have a Christmas tree in our homes, because Christ is Christ. Christmas is Christ. And that little shining tree with all those lights, that's your lights. That's your pineal gland. That's your hypothalamus. You know, that's your thymus, your thyroid, your pituitary gland. That's all your glands lit up like a Christmas tree. And the reason we light up that tree on the 25th of December is because that's the shortest day of the year, And the sun now is taking its journey back up the mountain from Capricorn, up to Cancer, to the Tropic of Cancer. So the sun goes from Capricorn to Cancer, Capricorn to Cancer, up and down, up and down. When it goes to Capricorn, there it dies. You see? It dies on the 21st, on the solstice. It's crucified, and then it begins its journey back up the mountain. And this is why the Christmas tree is placed there on the 25th of December, signifying that that little twig will one day become a full-grown tree. And it does, because in the heart of winter, when all the trees are dead, even the evergreen is sleeping. And the snow and the cold has put the winter northern hemisphere to sleep. And so that's why we place that Christmas tree there to signify that we will also, like the sun, we will also ascend and climb up and go up to the Tropic of Cancer, like the sun does every day, to bring back the summer every year. And so we also are following the cycles of the sun. It is our exemplar. Our exemplar is the sun. Now, when you think about the sun, okay, you begin to see that the sun, in the physical sense, is our saviour, without which we will perish in an instant. If you remove the sun, which is impossible, we die. So we are being saved and sustained by the light and energy of the sun. It's obvious. Doesn't take much. You don't need to have a PhD. You don't need to be a scientist. You just need to think. The sun has always stood in a very, very respected and highly held position in the minds of these Egyptian Hermetic scientists. In fact, they used to rise in the morning. They knew the hour and setting of the sun, and they would rise and observe it intently and watch the sun. You see, they used to stargaze and they used to sun gaze, because they knew that that light, that precious light, would penetrate the pineal gland and activate it. And they knew that the originator of the life on this solar system, they knew that the sun also was a three-orbed entity. It's not only a hydrogen physical mass. It is a psychic entity, and it is a spiritual entity. It's three in one. And the Neoplatonists like Proclus and Plotinus and Plutarch, all of these guys, they all explained this because they knew it. They knew that the sun was three-orbed, and that the sun was a higher order being than we. And it's through the sun that we need to return to cause. You see, we return through the stars. So we need to respect our bigger brother. And our bigger brother has a name, by the way. In Latin, we call it Sol. That's our brother, Jesus. The Hebrews call it Jesus. The Jews call it Yeshua. They also call it Samson. They call it Abraham. They call it Israel. The Christians call it Michael, who is like God. The Hebrews also call it Emmanuel. But Yeshua is also a very important name for our son. But as I said before, they also call it Yes. I-E-S, like the Greeks. Jesus. And that's where we get the word yes in English for affirmative. When we say yes, we nod our heads in affirmation, because our sun rises and sets just like our head nodding. And so we respect the sun, And we understand that it is its consciousness that is sustaining our consciousness, our psyche. So when we are warmed by the rays of the sun, and photosynthesis sustains us, and when the sun grows our vegetables and fruits, and we honour the sun, and every day we realise that it is because of the sun that we can see where we're going, and it is the sun that enables us to build houses and sow crops so that we can clothe ourselves and eat. And it's the one that causes us to be sustained. So we owe some kind of respect to this orb. And we owe some kind of allegiance to its loving nature. And we see that our psyches are sustained by the sun. We see that our spirits are warmed by the sun, because you see, light partakes of three bodies: physical, psychic, and spiritual. Just like water. Water is solid, liquid, and gas. Well, light is also known for these three properties. That's why the element of fire and the element of water are always prominent in our theologies, because water has three states, and light also does. So water is the universal cleanser, and fire is the purger. In fact, the word purge comes from fire, pyros. You see, we need fire and we need water to purify ourselves. Now, fire is what we call mystic, and air is spiritual, and water is what we baptize. We symbolize our baptism of cleansing, the cleansing of the flesh, by having a water baptism. So you see, water has this beautiful ability to morph at will, you know. It can be ice, it can be water, and it can be gas, you see. So then we also enjoy being baptized in the Spirit. You see, by the way, Christianity has borrowed this Hermetic wisdom, and everything about, if you go to a Baptist church or a Jehovah's Witness church, everything that you see that is going on there, unbeknownst to the adherents of those particular religions, they all go back to Hermes. The only difference is that they are doing it in a lower mind, blind spiritual condition. People who go to church are practicing all of the Hermetic science, but they call it religion, and they practice it by rote, by in a ritualistic manner, and therefore they are the blind leading the blind. You see, they haven't got the point. They haven't understood that there's no physical one man who came to this earth to be our saviour, to play the role of saviour. And unless they understand that they are the crystal Christs that has come in the flesh, they will never understand the occult science, and they will never be able to return. They will always be trapped in bodies. So religions are very, very handy devices. Believe you me, all those churches out there, they are very, very handy for harvesting people's energies and treating them as slaves and keeping them entrapped in bodies for a very long time. You see, those priests in the clergy class, and, you know, your cardinals and bishops and all these titles that people put on themselves, you see, they think that they are these things. You see, I'm sure the Pope thinks he's a Pope. I think he's pretty comfortable, and he's convinced that he is the Pope, although the universe doesn't recognise it. You know, it's like the universe doesn't recognise, you know, your label, brand name religion. You know, I mean, when the body dies, there's no way that you can claim that you were a Baptist of the Southern 1983 Great Lakes region denomination, therefore you're not of the other Baptists who are condemned to hell, therefore that label by mentioning that label and having an association and affiliation with it, you will be saved. Well, good luck to you. Good luck to all those people that are just keep going to church, you know. It's I hope you get there one day. But you see, Curtis, we can have a bit of a chuckle about these things because we love our brothers. We love everyone, but what we're condemning, or what I'm condemning here, is what we should all be condemning, and that is institutions that are in our society that are deliberately doing things to us that are not good for our health. And that's both physical, spiritual, and emotional. And churches are part of that. Churches are right in there, part of that. There's a lot of pedophilia going on in them. There's a lot of abuse. There's a lot of lying, and there's a lot of corporate fraud. They make a lot of money. You see, all of these churches are registered corporations. And so affiliating oneself with them is like unto selling your soul. Have you ever heard about selling your soul for rock and roll and all of that stuff?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, what that means is it's quite simple. What it means is, you know, it means that you make an intentful, willful decision to do things, to pursue something, anything that is contrary to the reason why you were sent down here in the first place. For instance, you know, growing your investment portfolio, for instance, from 10 properties to 100 properties. You know, that's my goal for the year. You know, so and you have all these organisations that are supporting this kind of, I think they call it prosperity consciousness. You know, where we should absolutely be filthy, filthy prosperous. Now, there's nothing wrong with having, you know, good things. There's nothing wrong with having a beautiful home and nice things if you're able to attract wealth, because some people are, and that is also a natural gift. It's a physical natural gift, but it's not supposed to be something that that is a distraction from the spiritual pursuits. You see, the scientific spiritual pursuits which enables us to be human beings. Because when we reach the middle kingdom as a human being, we still are able to choose which way we're going, which way we would like to proceed, whether it is up Jacob's ladder or down. You see, the Elohim would be the ones going up, the Nephilim would be the ones going down. And we were all Nephilim. We were all the ones who came down to, because we noticed the daughters of men that they were good looking. You see, this is how it happens. This is how it occurs. There's something down here that attracts us. And as the Hermetica says, there are two kinds of souls. There are souls who descend willingly, and there are souls who have been forced to come here to experience what is here to experience, and to acquire some sort of an experience of benefit. And this is how Alvin Boyd Kuhn, one of your great occultists, this is how he puts it. He wrote some very, very beautiful little brochures, Alvin Boyd Kuhn, and a lot of tomes and works. I've read quite a few of his works. The Lost Light is one of his books. The Shadow of the Third Century, Who is this King of Glory? He wrote a brochure called The Esoteric Structure of the Alphabet, which I recommend one reads. And I'm about to read from The Tree of Knowledge. He wrote a book called The Tree of Knowledge, Alvin Boyd Kuhn, and this is how he calls, this is how he describes the beautiful experience of how souls have come down to this realm in order to experience, not to learn, but to experience and to remember their origin. And then by remembering and knowing who we are, we, like the prodigal son, we go home. And this is what happens. This is what Alvin Boyd Kuhn says on page 42 of The Tree of Knowledge. He says, we can conceive the dramatist as desiring to veil the open sense of our soul journey, when he says, as much as a rich and indulgent father, head of a great business concern, would offer his son full participation in the enterprise. Yet at the start of the son's serious career, he would say to him, you are to be one of us in the management, but lest you should take hold of your prerogatives before you have mastered all the details of the business, to know the right from the wrong course of procedure, I must send you out into the factory to learn it all from the bottom up. Have you heard that before, Curtis?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so a good rich father, he's not going to say to his young son, his 17, 18, 19 or 20-year-old son, just come out of school, or he may have even educated his son and, 25, even 30. He wouldn't say to his son, rightio, step on my, sit at my right hand. Here we go. He would lovingly show the son all of his kingdom and all of what is going on in his enterprise, at the bottom, from the bottom to the top. And then he can sit at his father's right hand and be one of the management. You see, so when we return, which we are returning. I mean, the fact that our consciousness is shifting right now, and we are noticing it on a daily basis. I'm not sure how much you're noticing it, Curtis, but I'm noticing consciousness growing from day to day.
Yes, indeed.
And yes, and this was predicted. This was predicted thousands of years ago, that the age of enlightenment would return. We would go through a spiritual winter. And in fact, Stephen Miller, in his book, that the guy I mentioned at the start of the show that interviewed Abdel Hakim, he says that we've been in this darkness for 5,000 years, in the age of Amun. Amun is the age of darkness, of hiddenness. You see, that's what it means to be hidden. The spiritual light of the sun has been hidden for 5,000 years. But now it's returning, and the Mayans are telling us that one day, around the 21st of December 2012, there will be 3 days of darkness, after which the sun will be reborn. The 6th sun will be reborn, and that will be a different sun. And we are being prepared for that now. Everything that is taking place now, the destruction of the materialistic economy, you see, as above, so below. We look down to the earth planes to try and understand what's going on with the economy, and we never will. We can make predictions, the economy is about to crash, the dollar's going down, etc., etc. Materialism is over. It's over. There ain't no Rothschild, or Rockefeller, Morgan, Schiff, Warburg currency that will save us, because there ain't nobody going to be supporting any other fiat currency system in the future, because people are now ready, or being made ready, for a new way of living. And it's not materialistic. Materialism is over, man. It's had its day. Whoa. Capitalism is Rome's idea, and Rome is finished. Its calendar is finished, its language is finished, it's capitalism, it's democracy, it's corporate structure, it's God business, guns, oil and drugs, people trafficking. Rome is in everything. Rome is in the lot of it. Black market business, everything. And it's over. And so we are getting ourselves ready for this. But see, this is where we are developing a wonderful consciousness and an ability to absorb the new energies that are coming. You see, so, but ones who are still living in the animal lower mind of the solar plexus and have not recognized the higher chakras and the higher mind, they're living in danger. These people are living in extreme danger because the energy that is coming will not support them. Now, Curtis, are we having a short break, or do I keep going?
Oh, please keep going, my friend. This is getting better and better.
Okay, good. Now, what I did have in mind was to read portions of a great work called The Metamorphoses by Ovid. Now, Ovid lived in the 1st century, 2,000 years ago, and I think he was he like Cicero before him, he was exiled because he wrote a lot of truth. A lot of truth. He was a Pythagorean vegetarian, like all of the great minds of history, and I'm talking all of them, from Pythagoras to Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci included, Isaac Newton, Edison, Porphyry, Plutarch, Ovid. All of these men were vegetarian. Because they knew that in order to become a human being, a hero, and in order to lose our animal nature, eventually we would have to make a decision to stop eating animals, because animals eat animals, you see. And now I'm not reading from here to condemn anyone who is eating meat. Please understand what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give us the philosopher's perspective. In fact, I wasn't even going to talk about that in this beautiful work of Ovid. I was going to talk about the fact that he knew who he was, and he was trying to share with us this wisdom and knowledge of knowing who we are. And he offered a lot of wonderful advice about death and life, etc. And I'm going to read some portions of this, because this is Hermetic wisdom at its best. Now, so if you're interested in deepening your wisdom and knowledge on occult science, I would be reading Ovid Metamorphoses as soon as possible. And in particular, I would go to the 15th book, and I would be reading. There's some beautiful stuff in there, and in one portion, it's called at the very start of the book. It's called The Teachings of Pythagoras. You see, everybody knew what Pythagoras was. He was a genius, and he was an illumined master. Now, he was a Hermetist, and if we go back to Hermes, let's deal with Hermes first, and try and identify who Hermes is. Well, the Romans call Hermes Mercury, and Mercury is the god of merchandise. You see, that's why we have Mercury's caduceus. Caduceus is what the American dollar sign is. It's a stylized caduceus, you see, because Mercury is the god who holds the caduceus, and he also holds the dollar sign, because he's the god of merchandise. So, all right, so we've identified one aspect of Mercury. Mercury is the speeding planet, so Quicksilver. Quicksilver would be the metal, because the Saturn is lead, the sun is gold, and the moon is silver. Mercury is Quicksilver. Now, it's also bronze. Mercury is also bronze, because Mercury is a hermaphrodite. You see, he's not a boy or a girl. He's a kinky little bisexual. Interesting. Nature. You see, nature places these middle spirits, these entities that are not polarized in masculine or feminine. That's what Mercury is. And Mercury is the right brain. The right brain is hermaphrodite. It's feminine, whereas the left brain is masculine. So again, here we find some more Hermes. So we're starting to see who Hermes is. We're finding that it's bisexual. We're finding that it's the right brain, merchandise, quicksilver. But we also find that he is called the messenger of the gods. Well, why would that be? Well, because Mercury is in control of the 5 senses, you see. And the senses are the messengers of the gods. You see, when you have a sore toe, your nervous system, which carries which carries senses to the brain, that's the messenger. Tells you that you've got a problem in your toe. And so that's Mercury. He runs around delivering messages. Mercury's also the guy with the stylus, just like Moses, you know, the pen in hand. Moses wrote the law of God. Well, that's Mercury, because Mercury is also Moses in the Jewish system, the lawgiver. He tells you the law of God. He also is the divine mind. You see, the divine mind is the right mind, the higher mind, the right brain. And there are many ways in which society has caused us to ignore the right brain. And I mean, I can give you many examples in which society has prevented us from using our right brain and kept us in our left brain, the masculine, martial brain. For instance, we are always instructed at school to write with our right hands.
That's true.
Yeah, because it is ruled by the left brain, the logical 5 sense left brain, the brain that does not see the forest but just can see the tree. And it's the artistic, intuitive, imaginative brain, the right brain, the hermetic one. And they encourage you in sport to kick the ball with your right foot. You see, everything is prejudiced to the right side because the left brain rules the right side of the body, you see. And so Rome, very clever, knowing how to keep people in the left brain, the slave mind, it teaches us to be unbalanced. And rather than being ambidextrous, we are encouraged to be right-handed. You see, anyone who has a left-hand inclination is sinister, because that's what sinister means. It means left. You see, in Latin, sinister means left. So, that's who Hermes is. Hermes is the developed human spirit. It's the human being at work, the hero. You see, we are heroes. We are nothing but heroes, gods. We are divine. We are divinities walking on this earth, having a fleshly experience. We are not, as Darwin would have us believe, monkeys that have evolved in a linear progression through history by blind freak forces in nature. We are conscious. Our origin is not from here. Yes, our bodies come from the earth, but our spirits have a divine origin. They come from unconditioned consciousness. And the more we understand this, the more we will understand the unity and the oneness of all things. And the more we discover that you and I are just one, having separate experiences, the more we will affect a great spiritual change on this earth. And this is the change that is coming. And for some people this is scary, but it is incontrovertible and it is unavoidable. The unity consciousness is coming back. It's returning, and we are forevermore realizing that we are more one than we are divided. There is more oneness about us than there is a division about us. You see, in good old Rome, divide and conquer, bread and circuses. Let he who will be deceived be deceived. Yes, that's good old Rome. All roads lead to Rome, because all of the deception comes from Rome. Rome has built a kingdom of lies. And the greatest lie that they've ever perpetrated on humanity is the Jesus Christ historical lie, by which humans will be vicariously saved. This is the ultimate lie, which has caused much damage to human beings and caused them to be imprisoned and enslaved as human animals. And that's what the church does, because if you look at the word church, it comes from Circe or Circe in the Odyssean mythology, and she is the one who turned Ulysses' men into swine, you see. In other words, what it's saying is the church will turn you into a swine and a buffoon if you should be entangled with her. Church, Circe, she is the moon. The moon is the mother of the church. You see, because the moon is the first sphere which our soul endeavours to ascend back to cause. And if you cannot pass beyond her rings because your vibration is not sufficient, she will not let you pass. And what happens is we are bounced back. Our spirits, our souls are bounced back to this orb, the earth, and we await reincarnation again. So we could be bouncing back off the rings of the moon forever if we never get to understand this science. For science and knowledge is the true salvation of mankind. Now, this is what beautiful Ovid says. And of course, Ovid wrote some erotic poems way back in the old Roman days. And for this reason, he was also outcast, because you see, Rome was trying to keep people very, very prudish. Because Rome also, the Vatican and the Roman cult, they know that if they can suppress sexual behaviour, which is purely natural, they can also produce slaves. Because unless sexuality is worked out and fully expressed and fully worked out and indulged in, one cannot grow that beautiful serpentine kundalini energy and activate the 7 powers. Sex is very, very important in this process. And this is why your prudish Christian religions have stigmatized sex and dogmatized it, twisted it, tortured it, brutalized it, demonized it, and every other torture that you can possibly imagine, and confused and tortured the minds of young people who have sexual urges, that go to church and don't know whether they're going to survive another day because they masturbated or something, or had a sexual thought. This is the absolute antithesis of what sex, the purpose of sex. You see, sex is to be worked out. It's to be enjoyed. And but it also has responsibility associated to it too. It's not just something that is to be abused. You see, all energy is to be preserved, and the waste of energy is the only sin that exists, really, because that's the waste of life. So a young man needs to learn that if he can save his orgasm rather than waste it every time he has sex, well, then he will be preserving much divine energy and consciousness, because this is where he can learn to grow his sexual powers and use those energies to transmute. They are great transmuting energies. It's a divine gift, because you see, the consensus view of sex is that it is purely for physical pleasure and procreation. Well, this is erroneous. Sex is a spiritual gift. It's the physical side of it is just dressing on the cake. It's just like food. Food is for our sustenance. It's not for our palate, essentially. Yes, the palate enjoys it. Oh yes, there's a lot of physical pleasure when you have some nice, fruit, for instance, cherries or mangoes or strawberries, whatever your delight. Some people loved cooked food with a lot of condiments and spices. Well, that's fine too. But the palate is the first receiver of that food. Therefore, it should enjoy the taste of that food, and it does. But the food is for sustenance. So sex, yes, the palate, the pleasure aspect, the physical pleasure aspect of sex is wonderful, sure. But it's not what the purpose of sex. It has another purpose. And its purpose is for the spiritual transmutation of mankind, of the race. It is our gift. It's a gift to be worked out. So, this is the beautiful words of Ovid. I don't know where to begin because I've got so much here to read, but I'm just going to pick a beautiful part out of that, the teachings of Pythagoras. He says, a God is directing my speech. I will speak as inspired, revealing, as though I were in Delphi, the secrets of heaven, disclosing mysteries known but to the illumined. I will sing great issues, never before now uncovered by early thinkers and hidden until the present. For it delights me to travel up to the heavens, delights me to leave the earth's insipid abode, and riding on clouds mount to the capable shoulders of Atlas, where I can look down on those wandering mortals, lacking in reason, anxious and fearful of dying, and from there exhort and encourage them by unrolling the scroll upon which fate is inscribed in succession. Now, how's that for some juicy words?
Wonderful.
Oh, there's nothing like Ovid, you see. There's nothing. And this is pure Hermetic wisdom. We have a wisdom school that goes from Hermes, and it goes all the way through to you and I, Curtis. You and I, who can appreciate the Platonic, Pythagorean, Hermetic wisdom. You see, because the lineage goes all the way from Hermes through to Asclepius, Hanubius, Tatian, Agliarthemis, Philolaus, Pythagoras, Plato, Plutarch, Plotinus, Iamblichus, Ammonius Saccas, etc., all the way through the Renaissance masters, Marsilio Ficino, Giordano Bruno, Pico, Campanella, all the way through to Dupuy, Volney, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Manly P. Hall, Alvin Boyd Kuhn, and hopefully we will see the beginning of the return of Hermetic wisdom to this planet in the next decade. Well, we will. My videos are certainly out there, and that's all I deal with, Hermetic wisdom. There is nothing else, and I call it the holy science because it is. I call it Know Thyself, the knowledge, the science of as above, so below. I call it Psychotheology, Astrotheology, Astrology, and it is. It is all of those things. It's the 7 liberal arts. It's the only wisdom that we have. And Ovid was certainly one who taught that we should ponder these things. And of course, as he said there, he was able to look down from the heavenly planes. In other words, from his pineal gland, he could look down and see people who were living in their lower chakras. And he called them wandering mortals. Wandering mortals, lacking in reason, anxious and fearful of dying. And from there, exhort and encourage them by unrolling the scroll upon which fate is inscribed in succession. O people, stunned with the icy terror of dying, why do you fear the Styx? That's S-T-Y-X, the river Styx, the underworld. Why are you frightened of phantoms and names that mean nothing, and empty blather, the empty blather of poets, foolish hobgoblins of a world that never existed? Here is what happens after you die. Your body, whether consumed on the pyre or slowly decaying, suffers no evil. Souls cannot perish, and always, on leaving their prior abodes, they come to new ones, living on, dwelling again in receptive bodies. And then he goes on to tell the time when he was in the Trojan War. And he says, in the time of the Trojan War, I remember quite well that I was Panthous' son, Euphorbus, and wounded once in the breast by a spear cast by Lord Menelaus. Recently, while in the temple of Juno on Argos, I recognized the shield that I bore on my left arm. So what he's subscribing here to is reincarnation, or incarnation, because the Buddhistic teaching of linear reincarnation is erroneous. Not that I'm having a go at the Buddhists, but you know, true enlightened Buddhists should know that incarnation does not happen in a literal, linear, karmic way. It happens in a conscious, evolutional way. And it happens by our own decision. We are the ones that choose the experience. We are the ones that choose what experience we will have, and not to work out any karma. Everything changes and nothing can die, for the spirit wanders wherever it wishes to know. The spirit wanders wherever it wishes to, now here and now there, living with whatever body it chooses, and passing from feral to human, and then back to human to feral. And at no time does it ever cease its existence. And just as soft wax easily takes on a new shape, unable to stay as it was, or keep the same form, and yet it is still wax, I preach that the spirit is always the same, even though it migrates to various bodies. Isn't this beautiful?
Yes, it is.
It's just beautiful to hear these words. It is pure wisdom. It's pure science. And even though he is using mythological language, And he did say that he's talking about previously to the Trojan War. You see, the Trojan War happened in the heavens. It didn't happen on the earthly plane, and yet it did, because you see, the cities that come from the heavens, and I've taught this, I teach this in my videos. I show that we are forever naming our cities and our children and the objects that we see around us. We are forever naming them after the stars. You see, what is Memphis, Rome, Paris, London? What are the names, what are these cities if not names of stars? They were named after the stars. What is our children? We call our children John, Peter, Paul, Mary, Thomas, Dennis, Anthony, Josiah, Jesse, David. All these names come from the sun, from the stars. And so, of course, Troy, there will be a historical Troy. And there will be a historical Dionysus and Hercules and Ulysses and Remulus and Romus, etc., etc. You see, so we can find the historical counterpart of these heavenly stories, these heavenly gospels, but they all happened in the heavens, and they all happen in the above, and in the as-above macrocosmic world. You see, nothing that happens in the Gospels is something that takes place on the earthly plane. It takes place in the heavens. And I've explained this thoroughly and given many proofs of this science. So, continuing on with Ovid, because there's so much here that I'd like to share. He says, and so, at the risk of repeating myself, I exhort you, lest your devotion be vanquished by the greed of your bellies. Stop this expulsion by slaughter of spirits so like you. This practice of feeding one creature on blood from another. What he's talking there about is the killing of animals. And he says, at risk of repeating myself, because he's actually, in the beginning of this beautiful portion of the 15th book, he actually says, mortals, defiling your bodies with sinful feasting, for you have the fruits of the earth and of the arbors, trees, whose branches bow with their burden. For you have grapes ripen, you have the delicious greens made tender by cooking. Milk is permitted to you, and thyme-scented honey. Earth is abundantly wealthy and freely provides you her gentle sustenance, offered without any bloodshed. Some of the beasts do eat flesh to allay their own hunger, although not all of them, for horses, sheep, and cattle feed upon grasses. But those of untamable nature, Armenian tigers, furious lions, wolves, and bears too, these creatures take pleasure in feasting on what they have slaughtered. What an indecency, mingling entrails with entrails, fattening one with the flesh from another one's body, saving the life of one by another's destruction. Surrounded by all of this wealth so freely provided by earth, the best of all mothers, you wholly ignore it, choosing to mangle the sad flesh with your cruel teeth, and delighted again to act out of the rites of Cyclops, unable ever to placate your stomach's voracious desires, until at last you have murdered another. Well, you can see his view of vegetarianism, can't you? Or rather, the killing of animals. Now, the thing I do condemn, and we all should condemn, is the cruelty that has been done to animals in a massive scale. When you see the way chickens are cooped up with their beaks chopped off, and You know, I mean, a chicken that is used for growing and fattening for Kentucky Fried Chicken purposes, for instance, these chickens have been treated so cruelly in their lives. These poor animals, they are stuck in a little cage that is no bigger than their bodies. They cannot move from left to right, and all they have is food to eat and water to drink. And then Kentucky Fried Chicken comes along, offers that the grower of the chicken $1 for that chicken, who's been pumped with hormones and all sorts of growth-boosting, putrid poisons and toxins. And then we go along happily to Kentucky Fried Chicken, that finger-licking chicken, and we don't think, you know, did that beautiful animal that is feeding our precious bodies, did it suffer for our feasting? Or was it happy? And was there a prayer or a forgiveness asked when that chicken's head came off? Was there some kind of respect for the life of that chicken that was given in the abattoirs where all these chickens' heads are coming off for Kentucky Fried Chicken to be able to make a lot of money? You see, what we don't think about is the way pigs are being herded into these little pens, 10 of them, and they're killing each other and biting each other, and all they do is just they stay in this little pen. They can't even move and run around. And they're fed these pellets with poison, putrid poison, and they're injected with all sorts of immunizations and growth boosters and all sorts of putrid venoms. And we eat that pork, you know, when we have our beautiful bacon and eggs for breakfast. And we don't think about all those pigs who are full of sores and warts and all sorts of putrid diseases. And but all we see is that beautiful bacon on the plate. This is what Ovid's doing. Ovid's inviting us to use our higher human being mind to see what is actually going on in this world where we think we are civilized and sophisticated, you know, where we sit down in our expensive French restaurants dining on sheep's, you know, monkey brains, for instance, or some sort of animal that had to forego its life because we want to eat its earlobe, or its, you know, in Japan they eat something called nankotsu, and I used to love nankotsu when I went to Japan. And what that is the ligaments of the bone tissue, the soft bone tissue of the chicken. You see, and they put it in batter and they fry it, and it's delicious. And so, but what Ovid is asking us to do is to think, look, we can eat food that doesn't require the shedding of blood. You know, there are apples. Apples come from trees, and they don't require any bloodshed. And there's cucumbers, there's grapes, there's all sorts of, there's nuts of all kinds that we can eat. The earth does not withhold its abundance, is what he's saying. So let's continue on. He says, and since I am already embarked upon this great sea, have given full sails to the wind, hear me out. Nothing endures in this world. The whole of it flows, and all is formed with a changing appearance. Even time passes, constant in motion, no different from the great river. For neither a river nor a transitory hour is able to stand still, but just as each wave is driven ahead by another, urged on from behind, and urging the next wave before it in an unbroken sequence. So the times flee, and at the same time they follow, and are always new, for what has just been is no longer, and what has not been will presently come into being, and every moment's occasion is a renewal, Do you not see how the nightmare turns toward the daylight, and how a radiant shining comes from night's darkness? Nor is the sky at midnight unchanged in appearance, when dazzling Lucifer rides it upon his white horse. And that too is changed when Aurora, the herald of sunlight, brightens the world as she hands it over to Phoebus, whose heavenly shield is brilliant. This is talking about the sun, Phoebus, of course, whose heavenly shield is brilliantly red when he lifts it from under the earth in the morning, and also at sunset, when it is replaced but turns a pale white at its center, where the air is clearer and free of earth's infection, nor does nocturnal Diana appear the same always. For she is waxing, and she will be less today than tomorrow, and less tomorrow than she is today, if she is waning. So Diana the moon, he says, is also waxing and waning, just like the sun from Capricorn to Cancer. He's small in Capricorn, he's big in Cancer. And so he says, nothing is the same. All is waxing and waning. And then he goes on to say, but really, do you not see how the year has 4 seasons, in imitation of how we pass through our lifetime? For tender and milky are the moist like a child in the early spring. So he likens spring to a young child, when the world is freshly green and lacking in vigour, swelling with moisture, a hopeful sign for the farmer. Everything flowers then, and the fields are a riot of colour. Although as yet there is no real strength in the foliage, spring is replaced by summer, a more robust season, which in its vigour resembles a hardy young man. No other time is richer or warmer than this one. Autumn steps in, and the ardour of youth is replaced by a milder maturing, a time between younger and older, when the thinning hair begins to go grey at the temples, when winter's old age approaches us, lame and trembling, and whatever hair it still happens to have has been whitened. Our bodies too are always incessantly changing, and what we are or are is not what we will be tomorrow. Once we were seeds, the hope of our fathers, and lay concealed in the womb of our first mother. Creative nature willed otherwise, took us in hand, and out of the narrow confines of mother's expanded viscera, sent us forth into the open air, homeless. The infant lay powerless, blinking his eyes at the twilight, and shortly began to walk like a beast on all fours, and then learned to stand, although still weak-kneed and trembling, and needing to grasp at whatever could aid his endeavour. This changes into the swift and powerful age of first youth, and then middle age, which is when its service is ended, glides down the path of decline, and ends and leads us to old age, which undermines and demolishes all of the strength of those earlier ages, contemplating the shoulders and arms at once, and their masses of muscle, resembled like those of great Hercules Milon, the heavyweight champion, now weeps to see them hanging so useless and flabby. Helen, too, weeps at the wrinkles seen in her mirror, and she asks herself why she was twice seized by a lover. Isn't this beautiful language, how it explains that we are forever changing? Young, then we mature, then we age and die. It's beautiful. It's beautiful nature.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's absolutely exquisite. I look forward to old age and dying. I really do. Because death is birth. I will be reborn. I will be something new. You know, it's just like the caterpillar. He sits there in his little cocoon, and he just can't wait to die. Because life for him is cocooned. But once he is exposed to the air, he has died of his old life and morphed into a butterfly. Devouring time, envious age, working together. You bring all to ruin. In your unhurried consumption, the world is ground down, and everything perishes slowly. Even what we call the elements do not endure. And if you pay heed, I will show you the changes they go through. 4 genitive substances make up the eternal cosmos. 2 of them, which we call earth and water, are heavy, and of their own weight will sink right down to the bottom. But the other 2, air and fire, purer than air is, are weightless and will rise up if nothing suppresses them. Though they are spatially distant, each element rises out of another and into that other, collapses. When earth is unbound, for example, it changes to water. Then, as it loses its moisture, it once again changes, this time to wind and air, as it grows thinner, bursts into flame, and rises through heaven as fire. From there, the way is reversed. And in the same order, fire, condensing, turns to air, which turns to water, and fluid water, changing to earth, becomes solid. You see, so Ovid is explaining this science of the 4 elements. And he says that everything is made up of the 4. The 2 lighter elements, fire and air, and the 2 solid ones, heavier ones, water and earth. And as the atoms become molecular, they and compounds, they go to water and earth, liquid and solid. But as atoms rise, and I'm looking for the word water. When water evaporates, it becomes a gas. So this is what the science is telling us. See, man is in the middle kingdom. We are in the middle of water and earth and fire and air. You see, we stand right in the middle of the 2 waters. This is what it means to be in the middle kingdom. We still walk around with water. Our bodies are 72% water. And we have blood in our veins. And we have solid earth, our bones. So we're still walking around in water and earth. But we also have fire and air. We have fire in our minds, fire in our hearts. We have air, oxygen, and spirit in our veins. We are an admixture of the 4. But our true home is in the 5th element, the quintessence, the ether. That's why we are looking upward to the stars. We look up to the stars, our brothers, and we say, wait for us, please. Help us. Help us to be like you. Help us to rise. Help us to ennoble ourselves and to reclaim dominion. Help us, suns, stars, gods. Help us to be higher order beings like you. You have transcended. You have ascended. You see, everything goes back through those suns, through those stars, back to the cause. And they are the way showers. They are the leaders, the fountains of life. Everything becomes a star. We are young stars. That's why we call our children youngsters. Because we say to them, be good and you will have a bright future. We don't use the word bright for nothing. Because those stars are bright. And we will have a bright future. It will be very bright. It's going to be bright like the sun. For we will be sons. You see, right now the human is a seed. And it's the seed of a sun. Just like our earth is a sun. Our earth one day will be a sun. In fact, inside the core of the earth is already a sun. There is already a fiery core which is growing. And as the earth is expanding, and as that sun is expanding, and our earth continues to speed its rotation, every day it increases its rotation. It's getting faster and faster, and it's growing bigger and bigger, bigger and bigger, bigger and bigger, faster and faster. And one day it will speed off like a sun. And we, of course, will already be sons as we transcend and ascend. Ovid continues to, so that's from Ovid, where he talks about the four elements, you know. He's talking about us being in the middle kingdom. We have a choice here, people. We have a clear choice to make. Now, your Nephilim, your George Bushes and all those elites and all those people who are piratising the world, who are vampirizing the world with their oil businesses and their Halliburtons and their Blackwater and their corporate businesses of bringing democracy to other nations like Libya and Iraq who never asked for it. These people, they've made their decision. Don't look around waiting for them to change. Don't wait around waiting for George Bush to repent in this lifetime, because it ain't going to happen. Well, it might. You know, he's our sort of a wandering lost brother, but we love him. Well, even though he might not make that decision in this life, he will have to eventually. Otherwise, he's just going to be stabbing himself with many pains. You know, for want of a better example, I mean, we've got many examples of people who have chosen categorically to love this world. I mean, have a look at your people who just are dying to get their faces on those glossy magazines. Poor people. I mean, poor, wretched people. And they even pose with a smile on their face while their lives are in misery, some of these people. Not all of them, but many are, you know, and they're kind enough to tell us the misery. I mean, Michael Jackson lived in misery for 20 years when he tried to liberate himself from the Sony label. But eventually they whacked him.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. They whacked Rudolph Valentino, Marilyn Monroe, Elvis Presley, James Dean, Heath Ledger. This is what they do. They create poor little upcoming stars. They give them a handler because they're all under mind control. And they give them a contract and a lot of money and a beautiful bank account, and then they kill them so that they can access their estates. And of course, there's many people who have gone public now. Randy Quaid, the brother of Dennis Quaid, has gone public. I think last year he revealed in a what do you call it when you publicly make something official? Anyway, the word will come to me. But he revealed that Hollywood has a star whacking elite club which goes around killing people, and he mentioned Heath Ledger and David Carradine, etc., that have been whacked by these people. And so the point is, I'm making is that many people who appear to be happy in Hollywood, and they smile, you know, and because their careers are booming, are not. In fact, they are terrorized by constant threats that they have to do this and do that. And Michael Jackson, if you have a look at some of his videos where he's tried to tell the world that he is under extreme pressure by the elite Sony criminal killing cartel, like all the labels, they're all killers, they're murderers of people. They like to make, you know, put people on their label and make them famous only for their pockets. And eventually they killed him. Ask LaToya Jackson, she'll tell you. But without being too negative, the reason being is people do not look to Hollywood, the killing club. Do not look to Wall Street, another bunch of killers.
Yes.
Yeah, don't put your money in banks. Banks are killers. In 10 years, there won't be banks. In 5 years, there won't be banks. We will look back in history at this laughable period where elite buffoon criminals have taken over the governments of the world and are fluoridating us and immunizing us with thimerosal and mercury-based vaccines, putrid poisons, and they also put deliberately put viruses in there, Baxter and Bayern and all of these criminal big pharma who work for the Vatican and Rome. We're going to laugh at this period. we're going to look back in 5 years' time and say, how did we let someone like a George Bush and a Barack Obama and a Bill Clinton and all of these types since JFK, that we've not had a decent, we've not had a decent man who will live and die for his people like JFK, who tried to stop the Vatican's Federal Reserve currency and tried to stop the secrecy that is going on in our governments. We've had people who are happy to bend over and fulfill the will of the bankers and the corporations. That's what we've had, and that's every country in the world. In France, you have Sarkozy, you have Berlusconi in Italy. Here we have Julia Gillard. All these people are bending over to the will of the banksters. And what is happening as a result is a lot of suffering, human suffering. So, brothers, what we need to do is know ourselves. We need to know who we are. The occult science is the only way that you can learn who you are. There's only one way of knowing who we are, and that is the science of as above, the hermetic science of as above, so below, hermeticism. And that's what I'm about. I urge people to please have a look at my YouTube videos, because there's more than 20 to 30 hours of hermetic knowledge and wisdom there. And there's a lot of research that has gone into these videos. The reason I'm urging people to watch them more than once is because the way I have produced those videos is in a syncretic fashion. You see, what I'm all about is syncretism. Now, syncretism suggests that the whole has been fragmented, which it has. The hermetic science has been fragmented into many, many little fictional stories that don't work anymore. So what I'm doing is discovering, if you like, this hermetic science and syncretizing it and bringing it to you via the beautiful medium of video, where you can understand all of this science for yourself. There's no fish. I'm teaching people how to fish, not giving people fish. So you will be able to, even if you just watch one video, which is not enough, but even if you should have just that much time,
bless you. Oh, are you still there, my friend? Oh, okay. I think he got cut off.
Sorry, I'm here.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, very sorry. Look, Curtis, I have about 5 minutes left, so I just wondered, is there anything you'd like to say or finish off with, so that I can perhaps direct people to my website or something like that?
Oh, I just want to take the time to thank you once again, my friend, for a great, great lecture. Oh, you'll be back. I'm already planning your next appearance. But please, take the time to tell people about your YouTube page, your Facebook page, and anywhere else they might find your great information.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so now you can go to universaltruthschool.com, although at the moment my web page is down, my website's down because of, I think I've exceeded the, what do you call that? The
bandwidth.
Bandwidth. Okay, so I'm currently being switched over to another server. Someone has offered their service from England, and I'm taking that service. So the website will be up soon, but you can go to YouTube, and I've posted 2 new videos on astrology, just well, as you said in the introduction. just yesterday, and I will have 2 new videos in the next few weeks, so you can look out for those. One will be dealing with astrotheology pure, and the other one will be dealing with the occult science, just as I've dealt with in these 2 hours, Curtis. And the name of the YouTube site is Mr. Astrotheology. So you can go to Mr. Astrotheology YouTube site and you can download videos, and I would be spending as much time as possible there because the science is all there. And I've also posted other people's videos on science and astrotheology and the occult, etc. There's a lot of wisdom in that YouTube site. There's hours and hours and hours of video and a lot of good information, especially on the science, which is very important. True science, not consensus science. And a lot of Hermetic philosophy and wisdom.
Thank you so much, my friend. I mean, once again, you never disappoint. I mean, your lectures, as I said at the beginning of the broadcast, they just get more powerful and more powerful and more powerful. And like I said, I'm already planning your next appearance. Once again, my friend, it was a pleasure. And not just coming from me, but coming from the entire family. We wanted to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today on Occult Science Radio. And look forward to having you again, my friend.
Thank you, Curtis.
Thank you so much. Peace and blessings to you, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we also want to thank you as well, beloved family, for being here with us today on Occult Science Radio. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here with us. And we thank you, we love you, and we appreciate you for that. Tune in for our next show, Tuesday evening, where we will have, next week's going to be, we're going to have a powerful lineup next week. On Tuesday, November 29th, from 7 to 8, we will have Dr. Mitchell Gibson. From 8 to 9, we will have Dr. Wayne Chandler. On Wednesday, we will have Hemnetter Nasut Biti Ra Sanku Kepper, the head priest of the Temple of Anu. And on Thursday, we will have the Mooney Twins. All of our speakers that are going to be on the cruise will be on our show next week. So it's going to be a powerful one. And the week after that is going to be an equally powerful lineup. Don't forget to go to the Occult Network, www.theoccultnetwork.com, and believe me, you want to become a Ton Premium subscriber. There is some very powerful, powerful esoteric information there. Much of what Santos was teaching on this evening, you will find a lot of that information in Ton Premium. And we just want to thank our premium subscribers, the feedback that we've gotten from you, and we can tell you've been spreading the word because our subscriptions have been coming like wildfire. So we thank you and we love you for spreading the word about Ton Premium. And once again, don't forget to go to the Occult Network and click on the Events tab, and there you will find information for our upcoming cruise, scheduled for December 3rd through the 8th, 2012. The Ton 2012 Heal the Whole You Cruise Retreat to Jamaica. It is going to be powerful. As I said, we're going to be sailing on Liberty of the Seas, the second largest cruise ship in the world, going to Labadee, Haiti, and Alma, Jamaica. And our lineup will be Dr. Mitchell Gibson, the Mooney Twins, Hemnetter Rasanku Kepper, and Dr. Wayne Chandler. You think that's not going to be a great cruise? Don't forget to take advantage of the early bird special all the way up to December 9th, 2011, which is $25 to secure your spot on the cruise. After December 9th, then the down payment will go up to $100. So people, it's been selling out very quickly, so hurry up and get your spot because Alicia's telling me that those cabins are going like crazy. Okay? So we would like to have you join us on that cruise, family. I look forward to meeting a lot of you, hopefully, on the cruise. And your continued support of Occult Science Radio and the Occult Network is much appreciated, and we love you for it. And with that, beloved family, as we always do, we are going to close out the broadcast once again with some music from our gorgeous musical director here at Occult Science Radio and the Occult Network, the Mistress of the Matrix, the gorgeous and talented Monica Chambers. And believe me, when I say gorgeous and talented, she is gorgeous and talented. Okay, and she just enhances what we do here at Occult Science Radio and the Occult Network. Monica, thank you so much for your contributions to what we're doing here. Welcome to the family, sweetheart, and we love you. And with that, beloved family, as I always say, peace, love, and power, and please, please walk with strength. Peace.